recovering the lost footage of untold events. You are watching Bodycam Story Vault. Files accessed.
Sir, I need you to step aside. We have reason to believe that the employee is in this country illegally.
I'm not stepping anywhere. Where's your warrant?
We don't need a warrant for immigration enforcement. She's coming with us.
The hell you don't. This is private property.
Last chance, old man. Move, or you're getting charged with obstruction.
Last chance, old man. Move, or you're getting charged with obstruction. Agent Victor Reeves said those words to Harold Johnson, third-generation owner of Johnson's Family Market. 38 years protecting a store his grandfather had opened in 1962. A man who had turned down million-dollar offers from developers because the neighborhood needed a grocery store more than he needed money. The old man didn't move. Behind him stood Maya Thompson, the cashier Reeves had come to detain. 22 years old. Born at Piedmont Atlanta Hospital. Grandmother worked at the same store for 20 years. Birth announcement still on the bulletin board. Reeves didn't have a warrant. Didn't have probable cause. Didn't have anything except an anonymous tip and the assumption that a black woman behind a register might not belong. The security cameras caught the reach. The obstruction charge never materialized. What materialized instead was $8.4 million, and the end of a career that had targeted the wrong store owner. Johnson's Family Market sat on Edgewood Avenue in the old 4th Ward, the same corner it had occupied since Samuel Johnson signed the lease in 1962. The neighborhood had changed around it. Segregation had ended. Urban renewal had come and gone. Gentrification had transformed the blocks on either side. The store remained. Maya Thompson had been part of that store since before she could walk. Her grandmother Dorothy had carried her through the aisles as an infant. Her mother Patricia still shopped there every Sunday after choir practice at Ebenezer Baptist. Register 3 was Maya's station. 6 years behind that counter, bagger at 16, cashier at 18, assistant manager at 21. The regulars lined up for her lane because she remembered their names, their orders, the small details that turned transactions into conversations. Thursday afternoon, 2:23 p.m. The after-lunch rush filling the checkout lanes. Maya was scanning groceries for Mrs. Patterson. Weekly order, same items every week, when the two men entered through the front doors. Olive tactical vests, 10 cargo pants, ice insignia on the shoulders. They walked directly toward her register. Maya Thompson? She looked up. The scanner beeped in her hand, forgotten. Yes. We need you to come with us. Mrs. Patterson's groceries sat half-bagged on the counter. The customers in line had gone silent. The particular stillness of people recognizing that something was wrong. Come with you where? I'm working. Ma'am, we have reason to believe you're in this country illegally. We're going to need you to step away from the register. Maya stared at him. The words didn't connect to anything real. Illegally? I was born here. That's what we need to verify. Verify? I have a Georgia driver's license. I have a social security card. I have. Ma'am, step away from the register. In the back of the store, a stock clerk named Deshawn had seen the agents enter. He was already moving toward the office where Harold Johnson reviewed invoices every Thursday afternoon. Mr. Hell, you need to come up front. Right now. Johnson looked up from his paperwork. What's wrong? Ice. They're at Maya's register. Johnson was out of his chair before Deshawn finished the sentence. 62 years old, but he moved like a man half his age when his people needed him. He pushed through the stockroom door and saw the scene at Register 3. 2 agents. Maya frozen behind the counter. Customers watching with phones beginning to rise. 38 years of protecting this store. 3 generations of Johnson family legacy. And now federal agents trying to take one of his own. He walked straight toward them. Johnson positioned himself between Reeves and the register. The movement was deliberate. A physical barrier backed by 38 years of ownership and 62 years of family history. What's going on here? Reeves turned. He saw the green apron, the flannel shirt beneath it, the stance of someone who wasn't moving. Sir, I need you to step aside. We have reason to believe this employee is in this country illegally. Reason to believe based on what? That's confidential. You're trying to take my employee out of my store based on confidential information. I'm asking you, what's your basis? We received a tip. A tip. Johnson let the word sit. Someone called you about Maya Thompson. Did you verify it? We're verifying now. No, you're not. You're detaining. You haven't verified anything. Sir, where's your warrant? The question cut through the store noise. Customers had stopped moving. Employees had gathered at the edges of the checkout area. The security camera above Register 3 captured everything. We don't need a warrant for immigration enforcement. She's coming with us. The hell you don't. This is private property. Reeves's expression hardened. ICE has authority to conduct enforcement operations. On public property. At the border. Not inside my store, grabbing my employees without judicial authorization. I'm not going to argue law with you. Then don't. Show me a warrant or leave. Maya stood frozen behind Johnson. Her hands gripped the edge of the counter. The scanner still hung in her right hand, forgotten. Mr. Hell. Stay where you are, Maya. You don't have to go anywhere with these men. Reeves stepped closer to Johnson. Sir, I understand you want to protect your employee. But if she's here illegally, she's not. She was born at Piedmont Atlanta Hospital. Her birth announcement is on the bulletin board in my back office. Her grandmother worked at this store for 20 years. That doesn't prove. Her grandmother, Dorothy Thompson. She stood at that same register from 1990 to 2010. Maya grew up in these aisles. I gave her her first job when she was 16 years old. Johnson pointed to the wall behind the registers, where employee photos hung in neat rows. That's her grandmother's picture. That's Maya at her high school graduation. That's her mother, Patricia, who sings in the choir at Ebenezer Baptist and shops here every Sunday. He turned back to Reeves. This girl is as American as I am. As American as you are. And you're not taking her anywhere without a warrant. Reeves's partner had positioned himself to the side. His bodycam captured the confrontation from a wider angle. The store owner blocking access, the cashier behind him, the customers and employees watching. Sir, last warning. Warning about what? You have no legal authority here. You have no warrant. You have a phone call you didn't bother to check. Move aside. No. The word hung in the air. Final. Absolute. Reeves's hand moved toward his belt. You're being charged with obstruction of federal officers. Then charge me. But you're not touching that girl. Reeves reached past Johnson. The store owner was 62 years old. Not as fast as he used to be, but he shifted his weight, blocking the reach with his shoulder. Don't touch her. Old man, I'm done asking. And I'm done being polite. Get out of my store. Reeves grabbed Johnson's arm, trying to move him aside. Johnson held his ground. 38 years of lifting stock boxes and refusing to sell to developers had left him stronger than he looked. You're assaulting me in my own store. I'm executing federal authority. You're committing battery on private property without a warrant. The customers had their phones up now. At least 6 cameras documenting the confrontation from different angles. The store's security system captured it all from above. The agent's hand on the owner's arm. The struggle for position, Maya pressed against the counter behind them. Mrs. Patterson, 73 years old, shopping at this store since Harold Sr. ran it, raised her voice. You leave that man alone. That's Mr. Hal. He's been running this store since before you were born. Other voices joined. What are you doing? She works here. We know her. Get out of this store. Reeves's partner shifted uncomfortably. His bodycam captured his face, the doubt that Reeves refused to acknowledge. Victor, maybe we should. Shut up. Reeves released Johnson's arm and reached around him, grabbing Maya's wrist across the counter. She cried out. Not loud, the surprised sound of someone suddenly ceased. You're coming with me. Johnson grabbed Reeves's arm with both hands. Let go of her. You're obstructing. You're assaulting my employee. Without a warrant. Without probable cause. In front of 30 witnesses. A man stepped out of line at Register 4. Mid-50s. Gray at the temples. The particular bearing of someone with law enforcement experience. Agent, I'm Detective Lieutenant Marcus Williams, Atlanta PD, retired. What I'm witnessing here is unlawful detention, assault, and trespass on private property. Reeves turned his head but didn't release Maya's wrist. This is federal business. Federal business requires warrants for entry into private establishments to detain individuals. Do you have one? Silence. I didn't think so. Release that woman's arm, or I'll be happy to provide testimony at your civil rights trial. Reeves's partner had stepped back entirely now, distancing himself from the catastrophe. Victor, let her go. This isn't worth it. She's an illegal. She's a citizen. Look around. Everyone here knows her. Everyone's recording. Let her go. Johnson's voice dropped low. The tone he used when firing an employee who'd stolen from the register. Quiet. Final. Absolute. You've got 3 seconds to release my employee. Then I'm pressing charges for assault, trespass, and civil rights violations. 1. Reeves's grip remained. 2. The cameras recorded. The witnesses watched. 3. Reeves released Maya's wrist. She pulled her arm back, cradling it against her chest. This isn't over. You're right. Johnson straightened his apron. It isn't. Because you're going to explain to a federal judge why you walked into my store without a warrant and put your hands on a 22-year-old woman who was born 6 miles from here. The customers closed ranks around Register 3. Not threatening, witnessing, documenting, refusing to let the agents isolate their targets. Mrs. Patterson stood at Johnson's right shoulder. 73 years of shopping at this store, and she wasn't about to watch it violated. I remember when Maya was born. Dorothy brought pictures to the store. Showed everyone. That baby has been part of this family since day one. Another customer, James Crawford, retired postal worker, stepped forward. I've known Hal Johnson for 30 years. He hired my nephew when no one else would give the kid a chance. You think he'd employ someone illegally? You don't know this man. The employees had gathered behind the registers. Deshawn from stock, Maria from produce, Thomas from the butcher counter. The 23 people who kept Johnson's family market running, standing together without being asked. Detective Williams hadn't moved from his position near Register 4. His presence, the authority of 30 years with Atlanta PD, created a space the agents couldn't easily occupy. Agents, I'm going to suggest you leave this establishment. You have no warrant. You have no legal basis to detain anyone here. What you do have is approximately 20 witnesses to civil rights violations, assault, and unlawful entry. Reeves's partner was already moving toward the door. Victor, we're leaving. We're not leaving until. We're leaving. Now. This is over. He was at the entrance, holding the door open. The particular urgency of someone who understood exactly how badly this had gone. Reeves stood alone in the checkout area, surrounded by customers, documented by cameras. His authority evaporated. This isn't finished. It is for today. Johnson's voice carried the calm of someone who had already won. Come back with a warrant. Come back with actual evidence. Come back with something other than an anonymous phone call and bad intentions. He gestured toward the door. Until then, get out of my store. Reeves walked out. His partner followed. The automatic doors closed behind them. For a moment, the store was silent. Then Mrs. Patterson began clapping. Others joined. Applause spreading through the checkout lanes, through the aisles, through the 23 employees and 30-odd customers who had just witnessed something they would never forget. Maya still stood behind Register 3, tears streaming down her face. Her wrist red where Reeves had grabbed her. Johnson turned and put his arm around her shoulders. You're okay. You're not going anywhere. Mr. Hal, I don't understand. Someone made a phone call. Someone lied about you. That's not your fault. But what if they come back? Then I'll be standing right here again. Same as today. Same as every day you've worked in this store. He looked at the gathered employees and customers. This is Johnson's family market. We've been here since 1962. We survived segregation. We survived urban renewal. We survived developers with million-dollar checks. His voice carried through the store. We're not going to be pushed around by agents without warrants and tips from liars. That's not who we are. That's not who we've ever been. Detective Williams approached the counter. Mr. Johnson, you're going to want to preserve that security footage. Every frame. I'd also recommend calling an attorney before end of business today. Already planned. Good. Because what happened here? That's going to end careers. And you're going to want documentation when it does. The FBI agents arrived the next morning. Not to investigate Johnson, to investigate Reeves. Johnson led them to his back office, where 62 years of history hung on the walls. My grandfather started this tradition in 1962. Every employee who's ever worked here gets a photograph. The wall stretched floor to ceiling. Black and white photos from the 60s. Color prints from the 70s and 80s. Digital prints from recent years. Faces spanning 6 decades of Atlanta's history. There's Dorothy Thompson. Started in 1990. Worked the same register her granddaughter works now. He pointed to a photograph of a woman in her 40s, green apron over a floral dress, smile bright despite the tired eyes. 20 years she worked here. Never missed a Christmas party. Never forgot a customer's name. He moved to a corkboard in the corner. The community bulletin board. Announcements. Lost dog flyers. Business cards. And there's Maya's birth announcement. A faded piece of paper. It's a girl. Maya Denise Thompson. Born August 14, 2002. Piedmont Atlanta Hospital. 7 pounds, 4 ounces. Grandmother Dorothy is over the moon. The FBI agent photographed everything. The wall, the bulletin board, the documentation that proved what a simple phone call could have verified. Mr. Johnson, who do you think made the anonymous tip? I have my suspicions. Care to share? There's a new grocery store that opened 6 blocks from here. Freshmart. Corporate chain. They've been trying to pull my customers away since they opened. You think a competitor reported your employee to ICE? I think someone wanted to cause problems for my store. Maya's been with me since she was 16. Everyone in this neighborhood knows her. If word got out that ICE was hauling employees away, it would damage your reputation. And my business, which is exactly what certain people want. The agent made notes. We'll look into it. You do that. And while you're at it, look into how Agent Reeves decided to act on an anonymous tip without any verification. How he walked into a private business without a warrant. How he grabbed a 22-year-old woman hard enough to leave bruises. We're investigating all of it. Good. Because that girl has been part of this store her whole life. Her grandmother built relationships with customers that we still benefit from today. Her mother trusts us to keep her daughters safe. He turned to face the agent directly. I've been turning down developers for 20 years. They offer me millions to sell this corner. I say no every time. You know why? Why? Because this neighborhood needs a grocery store more than I need money. Because these people, he gestured to the wall of photographs, deserve somewhere to work where they're treated with dignity. He looked at the photograph of Dorothy Thompson. Dorothy asked me to hire her granddaughter. Said Maya needed structure, needed responsibility, needed a chance. I gave her that chance. Watched her grow from a scared 16-year-old into someone I trust to run this store when I'm gone. His voice hardened. And some agent without a warrant thought he could walk in here and take her. That's not how this works. Not in my store. Not ever. The anonymous tip was traced within 72 hours. A burner phone, purchased at a gas station in Midtown. The call had lasted 43 seconds. Voice analysis and cell tower data identified the caller, Raymond Chun, 41, district manager for Freshmart's Southeast region. Chun had been complaining about Johnson's Family Market since his store opened. A corporate chain couldn't compete with 62 years of community loyalty. Customers preferred the neighborhood institution over the fluorescent anonymity of a national brand. His solution was to weaponize federal enforcement. The tip alleged that Johnson's employed multiple illegal aliens and was harboring criminals. No evidence. No specifics. Just enough to trigger a response from an agent who didn't believe in verification. Chin's phone records revealed the pattern. He had researched IC tip lines. He had noted which agents responded to anonymous calls without investigation. He had specifically targeted Maya because she was young, black, and visible at the front register. The assumption was simple. A black woman working at a grocery store probably wasn't American. The assumption was wrong. Agent Victor Reeves had responded to the tip within 4 hours. No check of employment records. No verification with the state. No basic investigative work. His personnel file explained why. 14 prior complaints for similar conduct. Warrantless entries, unverified tips, targeting minority employees at small businesses. All dismissed. All buried. All enabled by supervisors who valued enforcement numbers over constitutional compliance. His social media completed the picture. Posts about anchor baby workers taking jobs. Comments about businesses that harbored illegals. Membership in groups where agents shared strategies for cleaning up workplaces without paperwork. Text messages to fellow agents showed the methodology. Got a tip about a grocery store in Old Fourth Ward. Probably illegals on staff. Small businesses are easy. No corporate lawyers. Just grab whoever looks wrong. Owner tried to block me. Old guy. Threatened obstruction. The old guy had been right about everything. Reeves had been wrong about everything. And now both of them would face the consequences of their choices. Chun was arrested 3 weeks after the incident, filing false reports with federal agencies. Conspiracy to deprive civil rights. Tortious interference with business operations. His corporate employers terminated him immediately. Freshmart issued a statement distancing themselves from his individual actions. The statement didn't mention that Chun had been trying to eliminate their only real competition in the neighborhood. The federal grand jury convened 8 weeks after the incident. Reeves was indicted on civil rights violations, assault, unlawful entry, and deprivation of rights under color of law. Chun was indicted as a co-conspirator. Johnson provided testimony over 2 days. He brought the photographs, Dorothy Thompson at her register, Maya's birth announcement, the 62 years of community history that hung on his office wall. This store has survived everything Atlanta could throw at it. Segregation, white flight, urban renewal. Developers. We're not going to be destroyed by an agent who couldn't be bothered to make a phone call before grabbing one of my people. Maya testified the following week. She described growing up in the store, her grandmother's legacy, the moment Reeves grabbed her wrist. I've worked there since I was 16. That store is my family. Mr. Hal is more than my boss. He's the man who gave me a chance when no one else would. The grand jury returned indictments within hours. The investigation expanded beyond the single incident. Reeves had conducted 43 enforcement actions over 6 years. 37 had targeted small businesses, grocery stores, restaurants, dry cleaners, the establishments where minority workers were visible and corporate lawyers were absent. 39 of those 43 targets were Black or Hispanic. 0 had resulted in actual immigration violations. Every single one had been released after verification proved they were exactly who they claimed to be. The pattern was systematic. Reeves responded to anonymous tips without verification. He entered private property without warrants. He grabbed employees without probable cause. And when owners objected, he threatened obstruction charges. The threats had worked until Harold Johnson. Previous business owners had been intimidated. They had let Reeves take their employees. They had believed that federal authority was absolute. They hadn't known that, "Where's your warrant?" was the question that could stop everything. Johnson had known. 62 years of family business had taught him that authority without documentation was just bullying with a badge. Digital forensics revealed Reeves's communication patterns. Small businesses are soft targets. No HR departments. No legal teams. Grab the visible ones. Registers, stock floors. Makes an impression. Owners complain, threaten obstruction. They always back down. They hadn't backed down at Johnson's Family Market. The investigation also uncovered a network of similar tips. Shin wasn't the only competitor weaponizing IC. Restaurant owners had reported rival establishments. Contractors had reported competing crews. Business disputes were being resolved through immigration enforcement. Reeves had facilitated it all. Happy to respond to any tip that gave him numbers. Happy to ignore verification requirements that would have revealed the fraud. His partner, Agent Lisa Monroe, had been present for 18 of those 43 actions. She had expressed doubts during several. She had been told to shut up and follow orders. Monroe cooperated fully with investigators. Her testimony detailed the pattern: tips received without verification, entries made without warrants, constitutional rights ignored as a matter of routine. "I knew it was wrong," she stated in her deposition. "I should have stopped it. I should have reported it. I followed orders instead." The FBI's analysis concluded that Reeves had systematically violated civil rights for at least 4 years. His supervisors had enabled him by dismissing complaints and rewarding enforcement numbers. The system had protected him until it couldn't anymore. Johnson's resistance had broken that protection. His refusal to move had created a confrontation that couldn't be buried. His security cameras had documented evidence that couldn't be dismissed. That old man, Reeves had texted a colleague after the incident. He wouldn't get out of the way. The old man had been the first person to successfully stand between Reeves and a victim. He wouldn't be the last. The federal courtroom in Atlanta filled to capacity. Neighborhood residents who had shopped at Johnson's for decades. Small business owners who had feared the same treatment. Media documenting a case that had become national news. Maya Thompson testified on the second day. She wore professional clothes, the outfit she had bought for job interviews, the future she was building with her Georgia State degree. "I was scanning groceries when they approached. Mrs. Patterson's weekly order. Same items every Thursday. The agent said I was in the country illegally. What was your response?" "I told him I was born here. He said that's what we need to verify. Then Mr. Hal came." "Describe what happened." "He stood between us. Asked where's your warrant. The agent said he didn't need one." She paused. "Then he grabbed my wrist. Pulled me toward him across the counter. I've never been so scared." The security footage played on the courtroom screens. The confrontation. Johnson positioning himself as a barrier. Reeves calling him old man. The reach past him to grab Maya's arm. Harold Johnson testified next. Green apron over his flannel shirt, the same outfit he wore every day at the store. My grandfather opened Johnson's Family Market in 1962, one of the first integrated grocery stores in Atlanta. He believed everyone deserved dignity. My father believed it. I believe it. What happened when you saw Agent Reeves approaching Maya? I did what my grandfather would have done. What my father would have done. I protected my employee. Why didn't you step aside when Agent Reeves demanded it? Because he had no right to take her. No warrant. No evidence. Nothing but a phone call he never bothered to verify. He looked at the jury. Maya's grandmother worked at my store for 20 years. I watched Maya grow up in those aisles. Her birth announcement is still on my bulletin board. He produced the faded paper. Passed it to the bailiff. It's a girl. Maya Denise Thompson. August 14, 2002. Piedmont Atlanta Hospital. The announcement circulated through the jury box. That girl is American. That girl is family. And no agent was going to drag her out of my store without legal authority. Raymond Chin testified under subpoena. His corporate demeanor collapsed under cross-examination. You called ICE because you wanted to damage a competitor? I believe there might be. You believed nothing. You wanted Johnson's customers. You decided to use federal agents to destroy his reputation. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. Guilty on all counts. Reeves and Chin both. Reeves received 6 years federal prison. Enhanced for pattern of conduct, assault, and repeated constitutional violations. Chin received 3 years for conspiracy and filing false federal reports. Both were led from the courtroom in handcuffs. The civil settlement followed within 4 months. The Department of Homeland Security agreed to pay $8.4 million rather than face a trial that would expose years of systemic failure. Johnson directed the distribution from his back office, the wall of employee photographs watching over him. $3 million to establish the Dorothy Thompson Small Business Protection Fund, providing legal defense for store owners facing pretextual enforcement actions. $2 million to scholarships for first-generation college students in Old Fourth Ward, continuing the legacy of opportunity that the store had always represented. $1 million to civil rights organizations focused on immigration enforcement accountability. The remaining funds went to Maya. College covered. Business school covered. The startup capital for the small business she had always dreamed of opening. Mr. Howell, I can't accept. You can't and you will. Your grandmother asked me to give you a chance. I gave you a job. Now I'm giving you a future. ICE entered a consent decree requiring warrants for all enforcement actions at private businesses. The policy Reeves had violated was now explicitly codified. Freshmart closed its Old Fourth Ward location 8 months after the verdict. The community had spoken with their wallets. They remembered what Chin had tried to do. Johnson's Family Market remained. Same corner. Same customers. Same family. Maya graduated from Georgia State 2 years later. Business administration degree with honors. She walked across the stage in a cap and gown, diploma in hand, her mother and Mr. Howell watching from the audience. The photograph went on the wall, right next to her grandmother Dorothy. She still works at the store on weekends. Register 3. The regulars still line up for her lane. She still remembers their names, their orders, the details that make shopping at Johnson's feel like visiting family. Harold Johnson turned 65 last spring. His children want him to retire. He tells them the same thing every time. Retire to what? This store is my life. These people are my family. He still opens at 7 a.m. every day. Still wears the green apron over his flannel shirt. Still turns down developers who wave million-dollar checks. The birth announcement is still on the bulletin board. Faded now. Protected by a frame that Johnson added after the trial. It's a girl. Maya Denise Thompson. American. Always was. Always will be. Some agents never learned that lesson. Harold Johnson had taught it the only way he knew how, by standing his ground and refusing to move. By being the old man who wouldn't get out of the way. By protecting his people the same way his grandfather had in 1962, the same way his father had for 30 years after that, the same way he would until someone else took over the apron. The store endures. The community endures. The lesson endures. Where's your warrant? The question that cost ICE $8.4 million. The question that saved a young woman from being dragged away. The question Harold Johnson will ask again, if anyone is ever foolish enough to try.
Every artifact speaks the truth. Thank you for joining us. Subscribe to secure your vault access.